What is the state of a successful, awesome, abundant person? That's the big question. And here's the backstory. So, long story short, there are times when I would just fall into a place of scarcity where um, I just wouldn't feel right because I didn't have girls in my life and so forth. And because of that and that sort of lack, I would turn to the things I did have. And one of those things quite recently was this one girl. She was fairly attractive. The problem was she was exceptionally rude and so forth. Not exceptionally. She was fairly rude and so forth. And there's a line that I have to set. And I think I've had this for quite a while, a few years at the very least. And it's this sort of this standard where I am not willing to sacrifice my standards. I know my standards are somewhat high, but I'm not willing to settle. And that can be a good and bad thing in certain ways. And there are times that I've obviously wavered, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. And I really want you guys watching this video to be inspired and take this outside of just what I'm talking about, which is girls, and really apply it to life in general, because that's really where it shines. I'm just a little bit more backstory. I'm probably going to do a whole video on this whole topic, but this girl, she was just exceptionally arrogant and so forth. She was fairly good looking. Sent me a picture, fairly good looking, but the problem was very arrogant person, and she was like, "How dare you not remember who I am?" And she was like, she was playing these games. She was like, "Where I'm not meeting up with you because you forgot who I was." And I just met this girl, and she had this whole sort of attitude, and she wanted to play games. She loved playing games, and I didn't want that in my life, and I was not willing to settle for anything else. And despite my scarcity and so forth, I wasn't willing to settle. And I really think that's a mentality that you should have, regardless of how awesome you are. And let me know your thoughts on this. I really do think if you extrapolate this beyond just girls to life in general, it's an awesome concept that can provide much productive success, and get you results. Like, just in class in general, like, you shouldn't be willing to settle if you don't think you've accomplished what you need to accomplish, and you want to go that extra mile because you really enjoy that subject. I don't know, that's just a random application I can pull out. I'm sure you can pull out a better one. Feel free to do so and leave it in the comments as an example, because I can't think of a good one right now. But for me, at the very least, that's how I feel. And there were times where I wavered, and I would talk to people who were good with girls, and I'd ask them, should I settle down and just lower my standards? And I got a whole variety of different results. And my parents, my family, they pretty much are on the side of lower your standards, lower your standards. But what resonated with me was the opposite. He had always sort of preached this. He's a really cool guy, really confident guy, and basically he said, don't ever lower your standards. If you're a 6 out of 10 and you have high standards for 8 out of 10 girls, never lower your standards and go for a 6 out of 10 instead, because you're copying yourself out. If you think the girl is not something you really want, then you're doing both of yourselves a disservice. You're doing yourself and the girl a disservice. And that goes back to something of my personal opinion, which is that um, the rating system is different for everyone. The beauty is in a lot of ways in the eye of the beholder to a certain extent. And I just want to touch on another thing. I got a lot of other advice from other people, and they were like, you're taking it too seriously. You're not looking for a wife here. Lower your standards. It's good for practice. It's good to get over a slump and so forth. Blah 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 blah. And I don't know. It's a rare, strange scenario, and I don't know if I have an answer. I do think that beyond girls, this thing is something that I am very proud of. Beyond girls, just like business in general, I don't know if it's true or not, but I really feel like having these standards, regardless of the situation, and just like even if you have a scarcity of girls, like I'm not willing to settle. I'm not willing to lower myself to an extent where I'm taking on an arrogant girl who's just rude or abusive. Like people will settle like that. They'll take the trash and junk because that's all they think they have, and they're not willing to refuse it and keep trying to meet new girls until you finally meet one that satisfies you. They're just stuck in the scarcity thing, and they're like, oh well, this is all I got. I'm gonna go with the only girl who's interested, which happens to be this abusive, arrogant girl who treats me like crap. That's not worth it. That's not worth your time. I'm not willing to settle, even if I have no girls. That's it. And I want to know your thoughts on it. I do think it's very true if you're looking for a wife, but what if you're just looking to casually date and so forth? I do think there's two truths. There's truths to both sides of the sword. Let me know your thoughts on the story. Do you think I should just, I'm looking to sort of casually date. I'm definitely not looking at a wife at 21, despite me meeting a lot of military students who have married at the age of like 21 at college. It's crazy. And for some reason, a lot of them are really good looking girls who are blonde. I don't know why, but there's a lot of girl students that go to my college who are blonde, very good looking, in the military or have already served a number of years in the military and are married or engaged. It's very strange. But I've met a lot of them. Anyhow, that's all I have to really say. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I should just lower my standards, get some practice? Because if you guys have been following my videos, you know I have very little sort of real practice because of how I am. Or do you think I should just never settle and keep going at it? Which can be a bad thing if I never get practice and then I meet this one girl who knocks my socks off. But then again, we're looking at someone who I would connect with regardless, which is a rarity. It's a rarity. So let me know your thoughts. I do think it's something to definitely think about. And I mean, God knows I need some practice because if you guys don't already know, I've mentioned this a few times. 21, never had a girlfriend. Let me know your thoughts. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be judging me on that. Judge away.